David. We're live. I think we are. All right, welcome. We're live. Welcome to the wrestling.
Oh goodness. I can't do it.
Welcome to the Wrestling Guy Store podcast. I'm here with the Butcher, who's already started all his antics.
No, of course not.
And McNuggets. See what you make?
You just called her McNuggets.
And Dolly.
Thanks for the boss.
Oh goodness.
And we have Engineer Roy went somewhere.
He went for a beer run. But as we're here right now, let's give a great intro to the one and the only, the famous Me.
Yeah! What a great introduction. Thank you guys for having me. Very excited to be here. It's my first time here at the store.
Nice.
Everything is so awesome. I love the diversity. I love the mix. It's a lot of great products here. You know, you got shirts from WWE, a lot of gear from Lucha Underground and things like that. A lot of autograph, just different things, posters and etc. So I'm very happy, very excited to be here. It's very cool.
And you're sitting here with the Butcher. I mean, that's got to be a plus. And he laughs.
It's
There was nothing funny about that, but that's okay.
Wait till the beer comes, and then he'll be excited to be here with you. Not like that. Butcher, you might be excited in other ways.
Okay, David, you want to roll
thank
now.
you guys for having me, man.
Oh, no,
I'm
pleasure,
excited
brother.
to be here. Definitely.
So let me ask you, this Saturday, we'll start it right off the bat. This Saturday, you have a match with Sanjay Dutt for the AWS Light Heavyweight Championship.
Absolutely. This is a match that I've been anticipating and looking forward to ever since it was announced. Sanjay Dutt, the original player from the Himalaya, and I thought I was the original player.
Yeah.
But Sanjay Dutt is the professional wrestling original player. I've been excited ever since this match has been announced, and you know, for a number of reasons. Obviously, because he's a very talented individual, very talented guy. I watched him in the early days of TNA, and this is before I got into the business, because you got to remember, I got into the business in 2008 is when I first started to train.
Oh, wow.
I was watching Sanjay Dutt do his thing, you know, in the early days of TNA, and I was like, man, that guy is awesome. You know what I mean? So, you know, we fast forward into my career, and it's almost 7 years later, and now we go one-on-one for the very first time. And it's very exciting to me. Very exciting to me, and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, my AWS Light Heavyweight Championship is on the line. So as much as I'm excited, I'm also very focused. I'm very focused to prove a point. To prove a point that not only that I belong and I can hang with somebody of the likes of a Sanjay Dutt, but I can beat somebody of the likes of a Sanjay Dutt. And that's what I will do this Saturday.
Now, is this your first time meeting him in the ring?
First time meeting him in the ring, absolutely. I've met him before backstage at shows,
Right.
but this is my first time meeting him in the ring. And, you know, I take it very seriously.
Now, you went against a lot of great competitors.
Absolutely.
Now, when you go against someone for the first time, do you still get a little bit of butterflies?
You know, I think what it is I do beforehand, but when it comes to the day of the show, showtime, when I get to the building and, you know, I throw my gear on and, you know, I'm stretching out and everything, and it's about go time, that's when all that goes out the window, because I become focused on what's going to happen in that ring.
You know, well, that's true, because I've seen in the back room, and I've seen how you prepare yourself a couple of times, and you do get into your little zone.
I got my Beats by Dre's in my ear.
He's like getting ready, but at the same time,
iPod's going. You know what I mean? You know, I'm bumping.
Ready to start some serious business.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, music influenced me a lot. So, you know, you'll see me walking in the back, you know, just, you know, whether it's earbuds or my Beats by Dre's or whatever, and, you know, I'm just getting in my zone.
Sweet.
Absolutely. But yeah, you know, to answer your question, it's usually it's usually before,
Mhm.
you know, the match or, you know, prior to the match, but not the day of. The day of, I'm very focused on what I got to do,
Mhm.
and I'm just ready to rock and
I guess
roll.
it's like mostly different with a lot of wrestlers, you know, like, okay, I'm going against this one for the first time, or but then, or if you work with somebody in the past, okay, you get comfortable with it.
Right, absolutely.
So then you know what to
Absolutely.
expect from each other.
Oh,
But
yeah,
sometimes when you get,
absolutely.
like, let's say if you go someone with, let's say, North Carolina,
Right.
yeah, it's like, okay, well, I'm getting a little
Right.
East Coast style here.
Right. Well, a lot of it is, well, I really don't. I mean, the nervousness have gone away. I've been doing this for a while now, and I think what it is I'm very confident in myself,
Mm-hmm.
which it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter if we've ever met in the ring before or not. I'm very confident in myself and what I have to do, and I know what I'm gonna get in that ring and do, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters to me. You know what I mean? I know at the end of the day, I'm stepping in the ring with other professionals, and you know, for that reason, nothing shakes me.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, here we go again. Another day at the office is two professionals locking horns, and at the end of the day, we're gonna see who wins and who loses.
So you're very confident that you're going to still keep the title this
Oh,
Saturday.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Look at
Absolutely.
the cockiness.
Absolutely.
To
Definitely.
keep his title and prove a point that he can hang.
Absolutely, but you know, with all due respect, like I said, Sanjay Dutt is amazing. He's an amazing wrestler. He's
Right.
done some incredible things. He's had an amazing career, and I'm very humbled and very honored to be in the ring with him.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you know, this is my hometown. This is Southern California. This is my home promotion. This is AWS. This is my title that's on the line, and you know, I'm gonna go out swinging.
There you
I'm gonna go
go.
out swinging, tooth and nail. That's the bottom line.
So you said you started in 2008,
Correct.
but I'm guessing you were a wrestling fan before.
Absolutely.
What made you decide, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to step in that ring. And
And get into this crazy business.
who made you want to step in the ring, and what made you want to step in the ring and do this craziness?
It is crazy. It has been a crazy ride.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think you have to be crazy to want to step in that ring?
I don't think that you have to be crazy. I think that you have to be very passionate
Right.
about it. You have to be very dedicated and very passionate, because a lot of guys, I didn't see so many people try and fail.
Mhm.
The guys who succeed are the guys who are extremely passionate about what they're doing. You know, so it's passion. That's what it is. In terms of myself and what made me get into it or whatnot was the fact that I was approached with a flyer about a wrestling school, which happened to be the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy.
Nice. And where did you find that flyer?
I was actually attending I believe it was a Monday Night Raw taping at Staples Center.
Right.
And you know how it is, like after you go out on a Saturday night and you're at the club and you've been doing your thing and you're all buzzed and you're drunk off your ass and it's 2 a.m. and you don't care about nothing but either tacos or LA street dogs. And then next thing you know, you have somebody walking up to you like, hey, here's a flyer for like the next upcoming events or the next upcoming club promotion or shows or things like that. And with wrestling is very similar. You have a lot of people flyering either for upcoming independent shows, and in my case, in 2008, I had someone flyer me about a professional wrestling school. Now, I really wasn't familiar with the independent wrestling at that point in time.
Right.
And upon getting this flyer, I had no idea that there was an actual wrestling academy or a school or like a college per se that you can go to for actual wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got this flyer, I was like, holy crap.
This is the real
How
deal.
cool is that? That is very cool. That right away didn't persuade me to say, okay, well, yeah, let me go to this school and train to be a professional wrestler. That's not what did it. But since I was into wrestling so much and I love wrestling so much, I held on to that.
Yeah.
To that flyer, because normally you'll look at a flyer and you'll be like, you'll throw it out.
Right.
You know, it won't make it to your house. You'll throw it out before you get to your car.
Mhm.
But since it was wrestling related and wrestling involved, I decided to keep it, and that's what kind of drew my interests over a course of time. So it actually took me a while to actually look at the flyer and say, okay, let me give this number a call and let me go down and see where I stand in terms of just, training to be a professional wrestler of that sort.
And look at you now. What's really cool about flyering is that you don't know who you're gonna pass it to. It's like Eli Everfly. It was the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
I got mine through browsing through LA Weekly at work, and I just saw a little flyer, wrestling school, and it was over in Van Nuys, called Slam City at the time. But it works. Flyering does work, and you know what? Look at, thank God, and we got a famous B around now.
Yes, absolutely.
And I know you've held many titles.
Yes.
So, but before all that, do you still remember the person that gave you that flyer?
I want to say it was Frank the Tank Miranda. I think I know you know Frank
Good old
the Tank.
Frank.
Good old Frank the Tank. He's actually he actually was in my training class when I first started. Unfortunately for him, he had major back problems, which didn't allow him to continue his dream in becoming a professional wrestler. But hats off to him. He still stuck around in the business. He still helped out when help was needed. He always showed up, helped set up the rings, things like that.
He does a lot.
Yes, absolutely. He continues to fly flyers. Editing. He does video editing.
He does so much.
Right. He films a lot of the shows that we do down at Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy and things like that. So, and he's still around. He's still relevant, and he's very important to us, and he's very important to what we do.
Yeah.
So how was your first day of training? How did you feel when you walked in there? And
oh, Jesus Christ! I remember it like it was yesterday. It was brutal. It was brutal. Obviously leading up to that point, and then you hear the click, 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 click. That means that it's going down. Let me click, click. Yep, it's that click, that noise right there.
Coca-Cola. What are you guys talking about?
That noise, authentic, right? The one you get from the taco truck.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what it is right there.
You've been eating too much of those taco trucks at Lucha Underground, haven't you?
They got a couple of them out there, but they keep us away from those. They bring our food inside. You know what I mean?
And
so
you must be speaking Spanish.
Let's just say I've done a lot of lucha shows, so I know how it goes. Oh goodness. But yeah, getting back to my first day of training. Oh my goodness, it was very brutal. I didn't know what to expect. I said that going into this, obviously I was going to give it my all, 100%. I don't do anything unless I put my 100% effort into it. So that I knew I was going to do. My expectation of what was going to happen was very different from what actually happened versus what I thought in my head. Because I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, Chaos Supreme. I know these guys from XPW. I had just seen Chaos wrestle. I think he had wrestled Snitsky at the Raw that I was at where I got fired. So, and I obviously knew his work from Wrestling Society X. So I'm thinking like, okay, I'm going to go out, go to orientation, go to training with these guys. We're probably going to sit around, lift a couple of weights, you know what I mean? And or whatever the case may be. I really didn't know what to expect. So when I got there very early. So like maybe about 30 minutes before the class started. So I'm sitting there and I'm just looking around and the students are starting to show up. And the first person I saw, that's how I knew I was there, was Supreme. I was like, okay, we're in the middle of Norwalk. And
we're seeing tombstones already.
Yeah. We're in the middle of Norwalk, and here's this guy right here looking like how Supreme looks with the tattoos all over and everything. I'm like, all right, here we go. So I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of nervous. I don't know anybody or whatever the case may be. And then I run into Jezebel, and, she pretty much gives me the rundown in terms of welcoming me there to Santino Brothers Wrestling, and they had just started. They were fairly fresh. Mm-hmm. They had just opened up their doors maybe about 3 months prior to me coming in. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, here we go. So then when training starts, it's very uniform, in terms of training. It was very different from what I thought. I'm thinking that it's very kind of like just free in terms of you know, like I said, you know, we're gonna sit around, lift some weights or something like that, maybe get in the ring, you know, whatever the case may be. And but that wasn't the case. It was very uniform. You know, they had all of our students, I had all of their students, excuse me, just doing uniform drills of that sort and things like that. It was you know, kind of like, you know, I like to describe it as like how you would have training when you're in Army.
Yeah.
Something sort of like that. You know, everything was very uniformed, and all the students were in unison in what they were doing. And obviously, my goal was to keep up with the guys who already had that experience. You know, so, you know, it was very tough because your body is saying, what are you doing to me? You know what I mean? When you're doing the push-ups, when you're doing the squats, you know, and things like that. So, you know, the first day was very, very brutal. Actually, you know, once I barely got past the calisthenics, then we did a little bit of shoot grappling, kind of MMA style kind of deal. And I got in there and I did a little bit of that with BC Killer. And I actually
Of all people,
and I actually got in there with Supreme that day. The very first day getting there was Supreme shoot fighting. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was very different from what I thought it would be. It was very brutal. It was hectic on my body. I remember I got home, I plopped down on the couch, and I couldn't move. Couldn't move. Got there like mid-afternoon and missed dinner. In the same spot.
You say, Mom, it's not happening.
It's just, well, I wasn't with Moms at the time.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't with Moms. But I get what you're saying. Popped down on the couch, and nobody could talk to me for like a day and a half. It was crazy. I couldn't move. I was super sore. I remember I threw up like 6-7 times that day at training. Finally was able to keep it down enough to drive home. And I loved it. I remember laying there, not being able to move, thinking, this was awesome. This is so cool.
Totally.
I'll be there next week.
Right.
As I'm dying,
it's like that. Yeah, exactly.
Aching in the pain.
It's very corny. It's a corny feeling. That you're just all banged up, but then your brain is like, damn, fuck, I did it. I'm like all excited.
Right.
It's like pretty much you lost your virginity.
Yes.
Something that David's not familiar with, but that's another story. But even though, do you still remember the first match?
Look he just gave you.
Oh, that's all right. It's a bitch look.
Wow.
Do you remember your first match?
Yes, I do. I remember.
This is gonna be good. I can tell by the laugh.
The one that your cherry got popped on.
Yes. Well, there was my first professional match, and then there was my first match in front of an audience. Two totally different things.
The first one that you like, wow, I want to do more. You knew this is the one you wanted to be, Hey.
Well, I knew at the point when I was given the green light to perform in front of people, I already knew that that this is what I wanted. I was already at that point. I know we skipped a lot, in terms of the first day of training versus my last day of training, in which everything in between that time, to me, I already knew where I was going, and I already knew I had to give. My intuition was telling me that this was what I was going to do, and this is what my future held. The first time I performed in front of people or an actual audience was kind of like an exhibition show for Santino Brothers at a park in Montebello.
Okay.
And, that went fantastic. And it was a match between myself and another top student named Damian Arsenic.
Right.
At the park. And we had a very good match, and I knew that was my first time performing in front of people, and I knew that this is what my calling was, because that day before my match, I didn't have an ounce of nerve. I wasn't nervous at all. I went out there. We both went out there. We made it happen. We delivered. We had an excellent match.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, I was just very confident and very sure of what was happening. The people didn't get to me. Just it was my first time being in front of a crowd in the ring. And everything I knew was training, performing in front of my trainers, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out there and just delivered, and I didn't have an ounce of nerve. And it turned out to be very good. It turned out to be awesome. Now, you go to the first show where I debuted at, which was January 17th, 2009 in Newhall, California. And Santino Brothers had a show called Evolucha.
Okay.
I wrestled the same person, Damien Arsenic. And this is my official debut match. But what's funny about this match, and I know you said it earlier, it was like, oh, well, you must really remember it because you laughed. Okay. Well, what's funny about this match is I was cooking and training, just cooking, just everything was flowing, I was just vibing.
You were sizzling.
And I was sizzling. I was ready for whatever. We had already did 2 park exhibition matches, in front of audiences at a park, free show, of course. We had already did that. I was already confident. Everything was good. I obviously had a good chemistry with the guy I wrestled, which was Damien Arsenic. But the week at training prior to our debut show, where all the students of Santino Brothers would debut the original class, the week prior to, we're going over a couple of moves that we were going to do for the show. And one of the moves was he was going to run up the ropes and give me like a Kurt Angle style belly-to-belly suplex off the top rope, which Kurt Angle did a lot when he was back with WWE. So we're practicing, So, I'm up there on the rope. All right, everything's all good. And he goes up, he runs up, and he gives me the belly-to-belly off the top rope. Now, I did not land right.
Oh, no.
I landed on one side of my shoulder and not a flat back bump. Ooh. So what happened was my shoulder started like twitching really bad, and I looked at my shoulder and you could see it, just like throbbing and twitching out of my skin. So I'm like, oh crap! And then it was like, it was like the first time I'd ever been really like hurt in that capacity.
Okay.
So I'm just like kind of freaking out, you know what I mean? Because this is like the worst pain I've ever had, like in my whole life, because growing up I never broke any bones or did anything like that crazy kids do, you know what I mean? Totally. That was the first thing that ever happened to me to where I was kind of like in shock, and I didn't know, like, obviously I'm not a doctor, so I didn't know like what the severity of the injury was. All I knew was that it was throbbing and I couldn't move my arm at all. This was a week before, so going into this match, my debut match, I hadn't been in the ring. I can barely raise my arm over my head. I was in a gym that week, and it was all cardio. Like I would run and things like that, but I couldn't move my arm, so I couldn't do weights. I tried to do weights. I would put the weights like on the lightest setting and try to just kind of lift over my head, but I couldn't put any pressure on it. So I get to the show that day, and I'm like super nervous because I'm like, well, how am I going to pull this match off?
Right.
Very nervous, very scared, very nervous. We had got we were in a semi-main event slot of the show, and I'm just like, man, like I haven't been in a ring since this. And I talked to Angel, which is one of the trainers at Santino Brothers at that time. And he told me, he was like, you know what? Adrenaline's going to kick in and you're not going to feel it.
That's true.
But I didn't know that. So I looked at him like, bullshit. This shit hurts. Like, I can't even lift my arm over my head. What do you mean adrenaline? What is adrenaline? Yeah. What's this adrenaline you speak of? Yeah. So, it's about like a couple of hours before the show starts. And I get in the ring for the first time, and I'm just like thinking in my head, like, I can't go. Like, I should tell somebody. Like, I can't do this. So I'm like, all right, let me just jump in the ring. And then, obviously everything is happening and everybody's going over their, roles and everything and matches for the night. And I'm just like, man, like, I don't know if I can go. So I get in the ring and I'm like, all right, let me try to roll. This is the first thing I did since then.
Mm-hmm.
I go to roll and I do like a halfway shitty roll and I'm like, I'm like, nope. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I got out the ring, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I should tell somebody that I can't go. But I never did for some odd reason because I'm like, this is too important. It's important for myself. It's important for my opponent. And I guess we're going to see what happens tonight.
And you pull it off.
Oh, man, we went out there and we tore it up.
You tore it up, and you didn't feel the pain. You did not feel the pain at all.
I did not feel the pain during the match until after. Until after, so we got out there. I went out there, and then when I walked through that curtain, everything that I was going through, when I saw like it was standing room only, and when I saw all the people who came out and supported us, and I thought about all the months that I put in to get to that point. I thought about all the sacrifices that I made. I thought about all the jobs that I left on the table just because I wanted to train to wrestle. And mind you, this is just to train to wrestle. This isn't like I'm a wrestler already. Let me just leave money on the table so that way I can go make money elsewhere because I'd rather wrestle than make it.
You were hungry. You were gone whole already.
I was hungry. I was all in. I put, I bet the highest bet on what I was doing.
So pretty much, you gamble your life.
Oh, I gambled my life. I sacrificed relationships. I sacrificed money. I sacrificed jobs. I sacrificed home, and I sacrificed transportation. I mean, everything that is essential to survive, I gave it all up at that time during training just to see where it would take me. Because that's how much of a conviction that I had within myself that I was doing the right thing, and I would not take no for an answer, and I would not let anyone shake me from what I was doing.
Well, there you have it. Jeez. Let's talk about major sacrifice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And a lot of people do have, some crazy, tremendous stories, and that's one of them up there. Did you want to say something, or? Oh, okay. I thought you were like waving your hand. I'm like, you were waving here. Oh, okay.
I mean, did you play any sports in high school or as a kid?
Oh, high school sports. I played basketball at Westchester High School, which is a very popular high school for basketball. I was actually in a graduating class with one of my good friends, Trevor Ariza, who obviously won a championship ring with the Lakers. He now currently plays for Houston Rockets. And there was a couple of other guys who made it to the league. But basketball is like my second favorite sport. And at Westchester, the competition was so stiff that it was like all the ballers went to Westchester to play basketball. So I know, it's funny because I remember in 2003, the year I graduated, was the same year that LeBron actually came out.
Right.
And I remember our school went to go play LeBron's team over in Cleveland. And they went over and, like Westchester, they have a good reputation, obviously, of basketball and winning championships, and they won like every year that I was in school. They won the cities and state titles and this and that. They went to Great Western Forum to play and beat a lot of good teams and stuff like that. So they went over to Cleveland and play LeBron. Like, oh yeah, we're about to go over there and make it happen. They're just used to balling because a lot of ballers went to Westchester. And then they get over there and they go on and they play LeBron, and LeBron ends up scoring more points than the whole team. So
they knew the name LeBron after that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's very funny because Trevor was actually playing in that game, And it's funny now to fast forward and to see the battles that they now have in the NBA.
Right.
Because I know Trevor's a little bit salty, and I know he remembers that. So every time I'm watching them play, I'm like, yeah, Trevor's thinking about that time that he spanked their ass back in high school. and you know, you look and you fast forward and it's like, wow, you just see the growth of your friends and people that was around you when you were younger, and then you see the growth of yourself, and it's like, you know, yeah, it's a different path, but now we're all grown, now we're all big boys, now we have to you know, carve out our own future. You know, now we're adults, and you know, now we're doing what we do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, but to answer your question, yeah, I played a little bit of basketball, but that was about it. I never really was, and that was in high school. So before that, I never did anything athletic, so to speak, or was into organized sports.
Well, one thing for sure, you're the first to mention basketball because a lot of the guys are just more like football.
Football.
Gotcha.
Well, everybody I've asked is football.
David is tetherball.
Wow.
No, it's hopscotch.
Oh, hopscotch. But
So who's your NBA team?
Don't
My
worry.
NBA team.
Roy Masters in jacking off. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry. He's been a
Well, if you
professional
notice my
since
ring
12.
gear for the last 2 years,
Mhm.
you would notice that I wear Laker color.
yeah,
How about the Lakers?
it's in your tights.
Let me ask you this. What do you think about the Lakers lately?
Well.
See, you only thought it was going to be wrestling. Huh?
Well.
Don't worry, we'll get back to wrestling.
We will.
We just want to find the real deal about you.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, last season was very disappointing. You had the Kobe injuries that really sat him down for, you know, pretty much the entire season. You had Julius Randle, who's one of the young up and coming talented guys that we have on the team, who broke his leg in the first game of the season, and you know, it was just all a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, last year.
But wasn't Kobe was supposed to retire this year, or I mean, how much can he still go? I mean, he's got to be like the oldest player now.
Oh yeah, he's about 36 now.
36.
He's about 36, something like that. There's rumors that he's talking about retiring after this next up-and-coming season, but it depends on the way the season shapes out. Obviously, when you have someone like a Kobe Bryant who is great at what he does, it's obviously an inspiration to me in what I do, because I look at his work ethic, and I look at his longevity of how long he's been doing it, and I look at his stats.
Right.
And, you know, it's very inspiring to me, and it's actually funny because it's kind of one of the things that made me come up with the term laser focus, because that's actually what Kobe was deemed as in maybe 2-3 years ago.
Right.
You know, Kobe Bryant, laser focus. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was, you know, him being an idol of mine is actually where I get that from. That spark, that drive to, if you're, you know, you eat, sleep, breathe your business. If you want to be successful, it has to become your life.
Yeah.
And that's what I told myself. You know what I mean? But getting back to these guys in their season, yeah, he said that he wanted to retire after this next season coming up. But it depends on the season, how it goes, because when you're somebody of a stature of a Kobe Bryant, you have to, you want to go out on top at least.
Mm-hmm.
If it ends up being a season like how it was last season, then
He wants to go on.
Why would you retire?
In other words, he wants to go on a bang.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
he deserves to.
Yeah, of course. He deserves to. He put his time in. I mean, you talk about a 17-year vet, you know, something like that, 17, 18, something like that vet, you know, with 5 rings, and you know, you can Google the stats. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can Google them. I don't know them all off the top of my head, but you know, when you have somebody who has that type of a career, you don't want to just say, "Oh, this is my last season," just because of whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? You want to at least go out on top. You know
Definitely.
what I mean?
Speaking of Kobe Bryant and his 5 championships,
I
we
thought
put a picture up of you with a bunch of your championships.
I'm very Kobe-like.
Yeah.
So if you don't get anything from this podcast, you will know that Famous B is very Kobe Bryant-like. Very Kobe Bryant-ish.
You know, which one's your? Okay, so you've had all these titles. Which one is like a highlight to you that when you won it? Like, I mean, I know they're all important, but
Right.
He was
one that you were
collecting
like,
every SoCal territory title, pretty much.
I will tell you that 2012 was very good to me. I had a
It was.
very good 2012, and that was
It was bling blingy.
I was. That was my 3rd year in the business.
Mhm.
You know, like you said, you mentioned that they were all very, very special. All of them, each and every one of them.
I'm talking about there was Battleground. Was there a
I
Battleground?
had.
Give us the
All right,
lineup.
Here we go. Let me give
He
you.
knows. Let's see how quick it is. Let's see how quick
I'll tell you like Kevin Hart. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right. All right. I'm gonna give you the lineup. But look, okay, don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We had the West Coast Heavyweight Championship in which I won March 31st, 2012.
Oh fuck!
When
Just give
I
me the date too.
When I defeated Joey Ryan. That was very,
Wow.
very special to me.
Yeah.
Very special to me because I look at that match as one of the best one-on-one matches I've had in my career, period. It was such a good match
Well,
in
then-
terms of psychology, in terms of the storyline, in terms of the build-up. And shout out to Adam Ginsberg, the promoter and owner of West Coast Wrestling Company, who really had faith in me at that time and even to this day, who really believed in me. And he booked that angle, he booked that storyline, and it panned out so well. And just the emotion that we got out of the crowd and the audience, and you know how everything turned out, and you know winning that title meant a lot, you know, because I went through this. I fought through tooth and nail just to get to that title. And when I eventually won it after 30 minutes of a hellacious battle with the Joey Ryan, which is one of the SoCal greats around here, it really meant a lot to me, you know. So we had that title. We had the IWL Anarchy Championship. Shout out to IWL and Victor Luna. We also had the Pro Wrestling Revolution Junior Heavyweight Championship. So, I do lucha. Like I said, I started my first year just doing nothing but lucha shows.
I remember seeing you. I remember, he was one of the guys that takes a lot of classes with Los Luchas as well.
Right, absolutely.
So I was seeing him, and there I'm like, man, I knew black guys could do that. I was like,
hey, but see, we have an advantage over everybody else because, when it comes to the flips
damn,
and
they do it
everything,
all.
we're a little bit more athletic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm like, shit.
when it comes to that type of stuff, we're a little bit more fit for it.
I'm
So
like, man, I gotta practice more. I gotta train more. Jeez, they do everything.
Yes.
we just got our black listeners back.
That's okay. I got lots of.
And now they're gone. About 2 minutes, they're like, all right, Famous B, hell yeah. 30 minutes into it, they're like, oh, fuck this rap.
Yeah.
Had it for about 30 minutes.
Wannabe brother wants to talk on the mic now.
Yeah, but I had the Pro Wrestling Revolution Junior Heavyweight Championship, which is also very cool because I won it May 22nd, 2012. And then a week later, I defended it in Mexico. So, which was very cool. Shout out Gabe Ramirez, PWR, the whole staff up north, based out in San Jose. We also had I had it.
Yeah.
Let me get back. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I also had the Dungeon Heavyweight Championship, in which there was like a mean old tournament for it because the company had just started. Bottom line is, I ended up in the finals with Sean Ricker,
Okay.
who's now Eli Drake.
Yes.
Eli Drake, TNA. Yeah, so I defeated him for that title. What else did I have? I had the Vendetta Triforce Championship, which was pretty cool. I won that. I want to say maybe in Santa Maria, up north. Let me see. How many fingers do I have? Did I name them all?
Do you have any of those belts to this day, or was it just the company's belts?
They were all company belts.
Right.
They were all
I just figured
belts.
maybe some, because some places they'll like make a replica here. Keep,
Right.
So-
Yeah, no, I don't have any of those belts. Once I dropped them
Mhm.
to the talent that I dropped them to, that was it. They were out of my gear bag, out of my closet, and obviously hoping to get a shot to regain some of them would be cool, or other new ones that I haven't had, which is always a plus. But I guess you could say now, obviously, I'm the current AWS light heavyweight champion, and I am still the last official West Coast heavyweight champion.
So you've been holding gold for a while.
Held them go for a while, and shout out to the Santino Brothers Submission Championship,
Yes.
in which I was the first holder of
Wow,
at the Dynamite D Memorial Show last year.
Right on. That's true.
Absolutely. So I gotta get that belt love, because that belt came a little bit later. But in terms of the belts that we're talking about from the picture I posted,
Yes.
my 2012 collage,
Yes.
that was excluded.
We're just building the ladder
I
up
gotta-
to.
yeah, but you see, I jumped the gun. You know what I mean? I gotta give a shout out to Santino Bros.
We're gonna climb the ladder because we're almost there. But right now, I was gonna ask you now: did you have any crazy injuries besides the one that you mentioned earlier?
No, that was the only one.
So you're one of the fortunates.
I'm one of the fortunates.
And it's, you know what? He wrestles smart. He's very smart. I mean, accidents do happen and occur, but he's very cautious. And I remember this last, I think it was this year. I did train a couple of times with you, and boy, he can go. Famous tells me you got 1 hour left still, and I'm like, this.
1 minute in. I'm
Get
still
your
amazed.
ass up, Butcher.
Yeah, come
I'm
on,
still
Dad. I'm
amazed.
like, okay.
Let's go.
Did
No, but
Did anybody else notice he trains? The butcher?
since he trains low key,
He trains low key.
He wants to surprise you guys.
Oh,
He wants to come out and surprise you.
Just for a few minutes. That's all.
I did have a question about the belts.
Sure.
The first one you received, did you take it with you anywhere else besides the wrestling? Because I know if I want a belt, if I went to a party, I'm taking that with me. I'm going to
See,
the
you would
mall,
have already
I'm
been
taking that
fired
with me.
from WWE. We have to call it championships.
Championships.
You know what? No, I never took any of my titles anywhere that wasn't work or wrestling related. Championships are very, obviously they're special to the individual who holds them, the wrestler who holds them. I just always looked at it like this isn't like a trophy to show off in public in terms of, if it doesn't have to do with the sport. You know what I mean? It's not something that you won't see me at the grocery store on aisle 6, looking at cereal or my title with my AWS Light Heavyweight Championship around my waist. You know what I mean? This is not something I do. I mean, because it's more of a respect thing as well, and you also have to protect, your merchandise, and that's your merchandise. You are the champ, and you have to protect that. And so that's what it is.
Also, it's also for me it shows like a great. I mean, I never won a championship belt. That was one.
Hell, you say.
And in a serious note, that was like
You
one
want
of.
a Monchero?
Yeah, well, that was bad luck. But when you wear a championship, like you say, you don't keep the belts and stuff like that.
Right.
That shows, but still, it shows a recognizable achievement.
Right. No, absolutely.
I mean, look how much you put in, since day one till this very moment,
Absolutely.
and then you're still on top of the
I
game.
mean, Kurt Angle took his gold medal.
Well, that was
to the ring,
that was a
wasn't
legit
Olympics.
Olympic medal. So
And it was part of his gimmick.
Yeah, so I'm sure he abused
You
it.
can't have a gimmick like that and not show up to work without it. I mean, you kind of need it. So, yeah, it's a difference between, it's a difference between getting your car washed with your gold medals on versus coming out to the ring with it. That's a big difference.
You might have done that too.
Gimmick versus the real person.
Oh, wow.
Is there any difference?
You know what? It's funny because no, it's really not. It's really not. I mean, I've actually been able to do a lot of cool things and get over as Famous B. And Famous B is just obviously a figment of my imagination, but it's not too far-fetched. I remember before I got into wrestling, I wanted to be a music artist. So I would write a lot of songs and things like that, and I would shop my demo out to different record labels and producers and this, and that. Because, like I said earlier in this podcast, that music plays a very big part of my life as well. And for a lot of reasons. I don't know if anybody noticed, but if you look at Famous B, he has a tattoo of a microphone on his left arm. You know what I mean? That says rap something. Because, growing up in high school and just and things like that, it's just one of those things where I always wanted to be, just a music artist, like I wanted to be a rapper. That's what I wanted to do. So, I've made songs, I made mixtapes, I did this, I did that. And, for whatever reason or not, it didn't pan out. But one thing that wrestling and music have in common is that with music, I always wanted to be on a stage.
Yes.
I always wanted to perform in front of a huge crowd of people that's just going nuts, that's just going bananas, that's just so live. I mean, the energy and electricity from something like that, to me, is just indescribable. So I took that mindset into wrestling when I first started to train. And, of course, as I'm training and I'm getting more comfortable with what I'm doing, and I know that, okay, I see where I'm going, I'm here for the long term, I took what I did prior to that, and I translated it into wrestling.
Right.
So I thought about myself and I said, okay, for a character, what would I be? Somebody who's famous. Because I always wanted to be somebody who was famous with music. I saw the limos, the concerts, the fans going crazy, everybody asking me for autographs. That's what I saw. That's what I envisioned for my life then. I just didn't know then that it would come in the form of wrestling and not music. So when it came to wrestling, I always wanted to be famous, so I said famous, because that's what I want to be. And then B for me, which my name is Brian. That's where the B comes from, and that's where it stands for.
Well, here's a little trivia here. If you look on YouTube, you could see that you did have a taste of that staging on singing rap with GQ Money and Munchie Cheat.
Oh, damn.
Now tell us how that was and how did that feel for you? You thought that was never gonna come out, wasn't it?
He was like, I hope it's not on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, folks.
No, it's on YouTube. I know, trust me.
I mean, Munchie Cheat still looks like Munchie Cheat up there on stage with the ref shirt on.
Right. You know what? That was so amazing to me because it tied in everything that I just talked about. It spoke to everything I just talked about. You talk about Hollywood. We're in the middle of the Key Club.
That was at the Key Club.
It was at the Key Club.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of the Key Club, and we're the opening act.
Yes.
For KRS-One.
Wow.
So you talk about a guy who always wanted to be a rapper and did everything that
you were having fun. I was like, look at him go. I was just like, look at Famous B's got another little side of rapping going on in here.
Right, absolutely. And then, obviously, GQ Money, shout out Smiley down in Florida doing his thing, living his dream. Shout out him. Obviously, he had a collection of songs that he was performing, and we were doing background for him.
He's really quick with words and rapping. He just likes to have fun with it.
You want to give
Absolutely.
us
So to be on a stage and doing something that I always wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
because of the career that I ended up getting into, because that was my calling, it was like tying two together, and it was awesome. It was awesome experience. And that wasn't the only time, because we also opened up for Digital Underground.
No.
Wow.
About a month or two after that.
Oh wow! See, I don't know that one.
Right, because it's not a lot of videos for that one.
Oh, okay.
The KRS performance
Yeah.
is up.
That was-
You can see that on YouTube right now live.
Yeah, maybe we can see David doing the Humpty dance.
Actually, that's one of Ryan's favorite songs, do the Humpty Hump.
Yeah, right.
All right, let me ask you this: who was your favorite rapper?
Oh wow! Oh goodness! Well, I had.
We're gonna plug
ooh,
the Straight Outta
goodness.
Compton movie.
Yes, we might as well.
Right? Yeah. What is it? August 14th?
14th.
It's coming up.
You know that movie's gonna be freaking hot.
Oh yeah, of course it's gonna be hot. It's
Yeah.
dope. It's black culture, black entertainment.
Everybody's
That's what
gonna.
we do.
I said it on every pod. Everybody's gonna claim to be from Compton. Everybody's gonna have their Compton hat.
And you know what? What's funny, and not to shy away from your question, because I'm definitely going to answer that, but what's funny is you don't see a lot of that representation
Right.
in wrestling.
Yeah.
You don't see that. You know, you have pretty much in wrestling, in terms of where characters or storylines come from, and build-ups, and, you know, where guys are built from. You can't name any wrestler is from Compton.
No.
You can't.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because there may not be, like, legit or gimmick-wise. So shout out to myself and shout out to Willie Mack, because we are two guys from South Central who overcame that era of, like, guys like a NWA,
Mm-hmm.
who overcame, like, you know, the crime scenes and, like, the gangsters from Compton, Watts, Inglewood,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Because we are legit products of that era and that territory,
Right.
who overcame that. We didn't get caught up in drugs. We didn't get caught up in gangs. We overcame that and became professional wrestlers. And I can only think of two, and that's myself and Willie Mack.
Cheers
Well,
to
before
you
you
guys.
answer about the fame, about your favorite rapper, let me ask you that. Growing up in that area,
Mhm.
South Central Compton,
Mhm.
how hard was it to become a professional wrestler? Because, you know, wrestling is, well, it's not as popular
Right.
amongst blacks as maybe
Right.
Latinos now and whites.
Right.
I mean, how hard was it to, you know?
You know what? It wasn't too hard because I didn't get into it until I was already an adult. So it wasn't too hard. You know what I mean? Like, growing up in that era, I was just a fan.
Right.
You know, I was just a fan until, you know, I didn't get into wrestling until I was 23. You know, so by then I was an adult, so I wish somebody would roll up on me and be like, "Hey, fool, that ain't even cool. Like, what you doing, homie?" Like, I'm like, "Bro, I'm a grown ass man. If you don't sit your ass down somewhere, like, nah." But I mean, yeah, no, it wasn't difficult to get into wrestling, but it's just the fact that we came from that era and we overcame to the point where our minds was right enough to pursue what we like to do.
Right.
You know, right now, as I'm hearing you saying this and watching you right now, you kind of resemble a little bit to me like Ice Cube. You know, we got the baseball cap and the beard on right now, and
It's funny because a lot of people told me Kimbo Slice. A lot of people said Kimbo because, you know, I rock the do-rag. Everybody know that. When I have the do-rag going with the beard, everybody's like, "Look at little Kimbo."
I was going to say Method Man.
Oh, wow. Let's just name all the black guys. Let's just Wikipedia black guys, and let's just name every single black guy that we got.
I like
We
the
can go
thing.
from
David
top
wants to be
bottom.
stereotyped right now. Jeez. I told you to give me a Colt 45.
Told you this podcast was going to hold. So back to the question. Who was your favorite rapper?
Oh man, favorite rapper. Oh, it's so hard to say.
Can you give us a little rap right now?
It's so hard to say.
Come on, let's do a
You
duet right
notice
now.
he's ignoring.
Come on, let's do a little rap.
Butcher, I've heard you rap.
I'll do it right now.
Wow.
He just spit all over my face.
That's as much as I know.
Wow, look at Dougie Fresh right here. Dougie Fresh is going.
Roy Slick
right
Rick
here.
over there.
Wow.
See?
The BET Awards was like a month ago. That was about a month ago. But yeah, favorite rappers, I would definitely say Pac. Tupac was definitely, a big inspiration. You can't say Pac without saying Biggie. East Coast, West Coast, all that good stuff. That era was just, man, it was incredible. A guy I really like coming up was named Sugar Free.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know who Sugar Free is, but Sugar Free was a pimp from Pomona, and who I just loved to listen to when I was a kid. And then it's hard to say one. I don't have a favorite one per se. I just like the genre as a whole, and different people do different things, and I just like a few that rap fast, like a few rap slow, but just to name a couple, I already said Sugar Free. I love Bone Thugs and Harmony as a group coming up. And then fast forward to my teenage years, I would have to give shout out to No Limit.
Wow.
Because not only did I like their music, but they also got into wrestling. So Master P, Silk the Shocker, and C Murder, I was listening to those guys faithfully, and then next thing you know, I see them in WCW beefing with Kurt Hennig and his other homies, when they had the whole Rap is Crap.
Yeah, I remember that.
Let me ask you this. I think Silk the Shocker actually did MVP's theme song.
Yes,
right?
he did.
Correct.
Yes, he did. I'm coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't start, Roy.
Well, I was just gonna say your favorite, Vanilla Ice and John Cena.
Wow.
Well, right now,
Shots fired.
right now in his car, he's got Justin Bieber going on.
Well, he stayed away from the rap.
Hey, Ludacris was on that track, okay? So ain't nothing wrong with that. So you go.
Yeah.
So you go. How did you end up at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood? And
Oh.
what led? This was a question on the Periscope from Sinister 632. What led to your exit from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood?
Oh, goodness. Well, CWFH. Oh, goodness.
And I think you were on at 12 a.m. at that time.
Right. I think that was,
Because now I heard it's like 3 a.m. now.
yeah, I think it went from 12, and then there was a point in time where it was actually on at like 4 p.m. in the daytime.
Yeah.
And then it switched back to, I want to say 1, then it went to 2, then it went to
Yeah,
whatever
I thought that
was on
I truthfully when I used to watch it more when it was at 11, I believe, and then it went to Elvira.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like, wow, this is perfect.
That was my error. That was when I was actually
yeah,
on
that's
TV
the time when
with
I
them.
would watch all you guys. There was a lot of guys from
Right.
Santino's there, and it was amazing. I was like, wow, this is cool.
Right. Well, how I started with them was simply because of the fact that my trainer, my mentor, Joey Chaos, was already working the shows. Ray Rosas, which is another incredible talent here in Southern California right now, is part of the tag team PP Ray. He was able to get on the show before myself as well. So obviously, I'm asking questions. I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on with the show? How do I get involved? This and that. So of course, great advice, from my trainer was, show up, show face, help out, just be around, or whatever the case may be. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm down for that. So I ended up going with Chaos to a taping. I ended up going with him, and it just so happened that Ray debuted the taping before, but the next taping after, he wasn't on, or I don't know if he wasn't on, or whatever the case may be, he wasn't there. So I showed up, and I actually got a spot because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I ended up working Willie Mack, and like a squash match. It was like a 2-minute squash match. I don't even think I did it. I don't even think I got any offense in that match. But I took that and I ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know, no matter what it is, you know, if there was a spot for me, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my damnedest.
Mm-hmm.
I went in there with Willie Mack. We did like a 2-minute spot where he gave me, I just remember he gave me this huge back body drop where he launched me in the air because this guy has super human strength.
Yeah.
And he threw me so far in the air in the lights. And, you know, I just remember taking that and feeding for, you know, his moves. And he hit me with his finisher and everything like that. And, you know, my job was to sell, so that's what I did, you know, so. I guess I did good because then I came back to the next tapings and then I had like a 10-minute match versus Austin Aries in his debut.
Whoa,
So
wow.
I guess
That's
I
pretty
did
cool.
pretty good.
Yeah, that's really great.
So shout out to Adam Pearce because Adam Pearce was the guy who really had a lot of faith in me in the early days of my career there. And, you know, obviously I wrestled Austin Aries for the first time, and that was like my first big match to where I was like,
With Austin?
this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin Aries. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
of
that guy's
course. I mean,
technical wrestler
yeah,
there.
he's super technical. You know, he's known all over.
Mhm.
He's a great wrestler. You know, to this day, he's doing his thing. And you know, here I am, this little kid. You know, just got in the business, and you know, I show up, and I see, you know, the match listings, Famous B versus Austin Aries, and I'm kind of like, I know they can't see my face right now,
Yeah.
but you know, jaw drop, like, is it? Hold on. Yeah. It's still there. Yep, that's me. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna wrestle tonight. Yep, And that was the first taping that they brought him in for. So he debuted against myself, and I remember that match too. I remember it being a match to where it was kind of like it wasn't planned to be 50-50, but you know, Austin was just such a great guy and a great sport about everything. You know, he let me do a little bit more than I guess what the producers had planned. So that actually, you know, really boosted me and elevated me as well, you know. So the match with Austin Aries went great. You know, it was also another one of those matches, and just, you know, I know we've been talking about rap, but what you just heard was not the 50 Cent sign. You know, it was not the 50 when he about to drop. You know, when he about to come out, that wasn't the 50. But yeah, you know, that match with Austin Aries really, it was like the confidence booster of all time that kind of like paved the way for what Famous B would become.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Getting
yeah.
there with him and just not having any nerve about it, like I hadn't previously to that. But, you know, I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, before that, I was like, oh, man, like, that's pretty crazy. Like, you know. But when I got in that ring, it was a different story because I knew my worth and I knew I would have a good match with him. And I went and I did that, followed instructions, followed his lead. We had a pretty good match, which is on YouTube. I think it's like right next to the Smiley performance at the Key Club.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can find it on my fan page. Excuse me, not my fan page, but my YouTube channel, Famous
Right.
B23, because I have them all, you know, all my favorites kind of linked up together. But yeah, they go hand in hand. But yeah, that match with Austin Aries pretty much it really boosted my confidence, and then, you know, I was a regular there then on for CWFH.
So now that you're kicking California's ass pretty much, which you have for the past, what, 7 years now?
Oh man, it's been, I would say about a good 4, maybe going on 5.
You're on Lucha Underground now.
Yes.
And you're also an trainer
Yes.
for Santino Brothers.
Yes.
How do you find the time for yourself to get into training mode, you know, just you by yourself, because you have Lucha Underground, then you got the tapings, and then you have Santino's as well.
Right. It's very hard. It's very hard. It's very difficult because ever since I became a trainer for Santino Brothers, it pretty much became the time that I had for myself to continue to train in that ring, you know, once a week at least, in addition to my bookings on the weekend. But it came at the perfect time too, because it came at the time where my body was telling me, stop, calm down, relax.
Yeah.
You know, I was in like, you know, like just crazy back pain, you know, to the point where I would feel it every day, just doing normal everyday activity.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was already time for me to take a break. Obviously, as a professional wrestler, you're not going to take a break from your bookings because that's your money.
Right.
You're not going to stop that. So it was like time for me to like take a break from the training aspect of it, because you got to figure I was still, just because, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand, and a lot of the mistakes that young guys make is they train, and once they get up to the point where they actually have matches, then they stop training. They stop training, and then they just do their matches, and that's it. But what you got to understand is you have to continue to train. You have to constantly continue to train. So my first 5 years of my career, I was still training once a week, just like I was as if I hadn't had a match before. You know, I was doing my matches on the weekends, and I was still training at least once a week, sometimes twice. So by the time my 5th year came around, I was going so hard in the paint, because it's like every year I'm pulling out 100 matches at the minimum, plus once a week in-ring training. And then in-ring training, as you know, Butcher, it's very different from just having a match.
Right.
You have a match, it lasts from anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes to 20 minutes to maybe 25 at the most. Training, you're in the ring for like 3 hours at a time. So I was doing that plus all my bookings, and
I'm already exhausted just by thinking about it.
You're already blown up.
I'm already blown up.
You're blown up from my story, bro.
Yeah.
Wow, you blew up from my story. So, you know, it was one of those things where it was like my body was like, hey, you know, you need to calm down a little bit, because I had like I don't know, I did something in one of my matches to where my lower back was really hurting and killing me, to the point where I just felt it at everything I do, and I couldn't get rid of it. You know, because sometimes you have like little bumps and bruises in wrestling, and eventually it go away over a day or two. But then for some odd reason, like this pain was bothering me for months. It wasn't like a day or two. It was like for months. And, you know, so I took time off from training, and I still did my bookings. But then that transitioned like right into me becoming a trainer. So I wasn't in the ring physically training like I always did, but now I was giving back to the younger talent and guys and gals who are coming up in the business, who have dreams and aspects to be a professional wrestler just like myself. And, you know, it's just, you know, one of those things where I was able to take time for myself and, you know, take a little bit of time from being in the ring and transitioning into becoming a coach.
Which they're very fortunate, I will say. But here's one thing I should have told you earlier. There was one gimmick, as far as I know, that you were not famous B.
Well, it was a couple. I actually have a couple.
The one I know, and I think you know which I'm talking about, from Lucha Vavoom.
Yes.
You're a zombie, were you?
Yes. Zombie.
Zombie.
Yes. Yes. Ridiculoso, who I actually beat him AWS Light Heavyweight Championship first time around, first run. Actually was very clever and came up with that name. He's like, you're zombie. I was like, wow, that's pretty clever. I like that. But yeah, that was actually very cool. It was very cool, and it was very easy to pull off, because one of the characters who stood out to me as a kid was Papa Shango, obviously.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he scared the hell out of all you guys, you know, during that era. You know, he was the guy with the voodoo who made the fucking black magic come out of Mean Gene's fucking hand.
It was pretty cool. I thought
Mean Gene looked at his hand. He has like black liquid running off his hands. He made Ultimate Warrior throw up.
And you know, the funny, you know where WWF at the time screwed up is that when you get close to the camera, you can see the black plastic lining they have around her, and then the Warrior had it there too. Like you can see the line, same thing.
But it's funny because I was like, what, 5, 6 years old? I wasn't reading it in between the lines like that. I'm like, holy shit, he just set this dude's feet on fire on Monday Night Raw. Primetime Wrestling, actually.
Yeah.
He set this dude's feet on fire. This guy is the real deal.
So what was it like working for Lucha Boom? Because you know how they have their shows a little bit more different. It's kind of like a masquerade, a little bit of adult, you know,
Right.
lucha.
Right, absolutely. It's very fun. It's very cool. It's actually like a day off. It's a day off in terms of the fact that you don't feel like pressured so much, you know, to perform in front of a smart crowd. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you can just go out there and have fun with people who's into seeing interesting, crazy stuff and just having fun, you know. So you have that same mentality going into those matches. It's like you understand that, so you go and you just have fun and you just do your thing, and it's all about characters, it's all about pageantry, you know, it's all about comedy. It's just very fun. Lucha Vavoom is like one of the coolest places, you know, that I've had the pleasure of working for, you know, and, you know, everything that Liz does over there with her staff, Liz and Rita and everybody who puts on that show, I mean, hats off to them because, you know, they take wrestling and they just make it fun, you know. It's not so serious. It's more like, you know, come, we're gonna entertain you. We're going to give you a hell of a show. We're going to tell you a story. It's very Lucha Libre oriented. And, you know, and we're going to have a good time. And, you know, Lucha Vavoom has, you know, been one of the places where, you know, I always love to work. You know, I actually went to Canada for them. In 2012.
I remember that.
Everything happened to me in 2012.
Time, 2012.
And
that was
the year of
my
the beast.
year. That was my year right there.
and I know that for a fact that you went to Canada, but you also, well, you didn't go inside, I don't think, but you went to the Hart Mansion.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
You went
I didn't
to
go
Stu
inside.
Hart.
Yeah, I didn't go inside, but that was one of the things that we did while we were out there, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool just to see, like, wow, this is where it all happened.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of great individuals in the business were trained at. It's like, it was.
I think he got anointed out there, to be honest.
That must have been his good luck charm.
Because it was like super. It was cold. I mean, it was snowing over there at the time when you went, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was very cold. It was snowing, all that good stuff, and it was crazy, but it was fun. You know, I had a lot of fun, and that was one of the things to see, the Hart Mansion, and then where they ran Canadian Stampede Wrestling right across the street.
Right.
Very awesome.
You know what, Butcher? I was gonna say real quick. You know,
Well, before
have
you
you?
start-
Wait a minute here.
Well, because I know right away you're gonna start getting into your little crazy chat. But I mean, let's put this plug in for it because some people are they got to go to work or something. We have AWS Heavyweight Championship, Willie Mack versus Cage, Summer Heat number 6. It will be this Saturday, the 25th. Doors will open at 7 o'clock. Bell time, of course, 7:30 at 9535 California Southgate. California, for y'all people don't know which state it will be in, 90280. And of course, we have Famous B, and you will see him against Sunjay. I can't say Dutt. Well, it's like saying Dutt. Well, okay, I'm just thinking of butt. Dutt. I thought I
David's
called
always thinking about butts.
it. All right, David, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
You know, I was gonna ask you, Butcher. Have you been to Canada?
I could have one time.
Oh, you could have.
I could have, but I didn't go.
You know, if you go to Alaska and you sit with Sarah Palin, you can see Russia from there.
I believe it. Why not? I mean, if you got all that wealth and money, and if you can see all them giant mooses out there and giant whales, I'm sure you can see Russia.
Who else is on the card that day? We got the women's champion, Santina Garrett versus Christina Von Ehre.
It's going to be a great match.
They're both pretty hot.
They are hot.
Yeah. And then Pee Ray versus B-Boy and Cholo. versus Reno Scum.
That's going to be another great main event right there. So I mean it's like when Bart was here. He's like, these are a lot of great main. It's like a main event night, to be honest. So
And how many main events are there? There's about 4 or 5 on
like
this
4 and
card.
5.
And how much is the entrance? $25 for front row, but I think front row sold out, right?
Yeah,
He said front row and the second row is sold out.
And then general admission though is $20, and the kids are $10.
For all them little brats, yes, $10.
So 5 pretty good matches.
Yeah.
Well, we've only announced 4.
But you know what? Still, again, guys, if you're in the city of Southgate, please do arrive early. If you have to show up 2 hours early, it'll be worth it. There's, go to Tweety Boulevard, walk around, get some food out there, but try to be there on time.
Let me ask, now that we've plugged the show for that Famous B is going to be on, let me ask you this. Now you're on Lucha Underground,
Yes.
and you're sporting the cap.
yes. Always. Everywhere I go.
Hey, can I ask you for a little favor?
Sure.
When you go to the taping, if you see Sexy Star over there, can you give her my regards? Can you tell her that?
She's married now, but
Is she really?
She is. She's actually married to a boxer. Who,
Oh,
boxes in
well,
Mexico.
Never mind.
So, I mean, if you go with them hands.
Hamana. She's looking at me right here, right now. She's flexing her muscle, as you can see.
Yeah, I see that.
Gun show.
Yeah, just like a.
I see that. She has.
Probably told me in Spanish.
she has-
Conmigo no te metes.
She has cardboard traps.
For those that know, we have a life-size cardboard sexy Star here.
I won't tell you what happened that night.
Prince Puma. Well, that's David's toy.
Anne-Marie. Right over there in the corner. Just
And Maurice, of course.
right at me. Looking right at me. Like, it's like,
Well,
y'all couldn't have positioned this any better. She's like staring right at me.
That's why Prince Puma's right there. Let me ask you, how is it now being, Lucha Underground, you're on TV a lot. How was it that you came about that? You're working with Chavo, Mundo, Conan. You're working with a lot of guys you probably watched in WCW.
It's got to feel a little overwhelming, I believe.
You know what? It's very it's very humbling. It's very humbling to say the least. But at the same time, I do understand my worth, and I do understand that good things happen to good people, and good things happen to those who strive to be the best, and those who sacrifice. And as we talked about earlier, I sacrificed everything I had to be in this business. So it's not just like I just stumbled upon this opportunity and then, met with the producers and they ended up liking me, which led to them wanting to sign me. It's not like it just all happened just because, what I mean? Yeah. Wrestling's my destiny, and, it will continue to be my destiny. And, Lucha Underground is the here and now for me, for myself. And, it's crazy the way it happened. It actually happened because my boy, a guy that I'm very fond of, who I've, teamed with and wrestled against a lot. He'll be here tomorrow, actually, B-Boy. He actually was one of the first guys who talked to Lucha Underground and signed with Lucha Underground. Mm-hmm. Obviously at the beginning, when this idea and concept was thought up, they had a lot of trouble getting talent, for different reasons. A lot of them were very skeptical for whatever the reason was. It's very hard for a wrestler to believe the hype of what's going to happen, especially when you have a new startup company and you're not really sure, because in wrestling, we always get this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and a lot of times it don't pan out the way that you would think. So, wrestlers tend to become very skeptical,
right,
of of promoters, of people, of just promises in general. But B-Boy was one of the believers who was like one of the first guys to sign. I believe the first two to sign, and don't quote me on this, but I think maybe you can ask him tomorrow. He can shine some light on this. But it was him and Ricky Reyes were the first two to sign.
Mhm.
And they're trying to get different guys. I think they were talking to the Bucks at one point, but they're already obviously doing their thing. They were talking to Joey Ryan and Candice LeRae,
Mhm.
and for whatever reason, it didn't pan out with them. So they had contacted quite a few wrestlers for this before it started up, and they were scrambling, they were looking for guys, and I know that B-Boy had talked to them and threw my name out there. So I was contacted by one of the casting agents, and I was introduced to him, and then we ended up having a phone conversation, and he let me know like the gist of it, of what it was, what was going on, what they were trying to do, et cetera, et cetera. So that ended up into me going down for an audition, and this is wrestling, but it was still an audition as like you're an actor.
Yeah.
Like any other like casting or acting audition kind of deal. So so I agreed to go down and talk to them or whatever the case may be. So then I go down and I audition, and I meet with Krista Joseph for the first time.
Oh, okay.
And they had two characters. One was called the Crenshaw Crew, which ended up becoming just the Crew with Ricky Reyes, Lil Cholo, and B-Boy was a part of that ordeal during the majority of the season. So they had lines for that, and they had lines for another character, in which that I studied both. And then when they called me in, they just had me audition for both characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I did my audition, and I felt really good about it. Everything flowed. Everything just felt right. You know what I mean? When you go and you do something and you have a conviction, and you just know you're gonna kill it because you know your worth. Then this should be the title of this podcast: is know your worth.
No, you're right. I'm gonna put that up.
Know your worth, because that has been brought up a couple times. But I mean, I knew my worth. I went in there and I had no doubt about it that I would just knock it out of the park. I went over the script. I read the lines, and I went in there and I just cut a promo. I cut a promo for those characters that they wanted. And that was funny because one of the characters that they wanted, they was like, like, okay, this is that character. But then they were like, okay, well, cut a promo as this character as Famous B. And then that's when I got into my mode. And I did my thing and everything. And, apparently I did good, because a couple hours later that same day they called me and they wanted to offer me a deal. So
Nice.
I thought over it. After I talked to another producer, Anthony Jensen, who covers the contractual agreements between the wrestlers,
Mm-hmm.
and we emailed back and forth a few times, had a couple phone conversations, and I put my name on the dotted line, and the rest was history. And then I was ready to go for that first day of tapings in September.
With everything that you said and all the success that you've had in wrestling, what does your family say? What is your family? I mean, there's like, my boy, reach for it, or my boy,
Mm-hmm.
he's always been a go-getter. I mean, or
Mm-hmm.
they're not surprised. Like, I know my boy.
Mm-hmm.
What is your mom, pop, grandparents, what uncles, tias, what or your best friends? What do they say about Famous B?
Gotcha. Well, it's funny because I come from a family who really isn't very wrestling oriented. I would say I'm the only one who really just always loved it. you know, with like a diehard passion, but nobody else did. And I think I get that from my pops, rest in peace, who passed when I was 6 years old. But being with my pops, he was the one who was watching wrestling.
Oh.
And being with him, that's when I was introduced to wrestling. You know, I remember just seeing guys like Hillbilly Jim, you know, and that just shows you how far that my memory goes back with wrestling, because I had to be no more than 2-3 years old. You know what I mean? Watching Hillbilly Jim, you know, on a Saturday or something like that.
You know, that's funny because that was the first wrestler I saw.
Wow.
When I fell in love with wrestling was
There we
Hillbilly
go.
Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Hillbilly Jim and Uncle Elmer.
He was the first one I remember like seeing like on TV. I was so young. That was the late 80s. But that's really, you know, all that I get it from in terms of my family. So it stuck with me, and even though nobody else understood, I understood.
Yeah.
So I was always clawing and scratching to find the channels that wrestling was on, because I was the only one, after my dad was gone, I was the only one that was interested in it and into it. And I loved it so much that I found a way, because I was the only one seeking it. It was sought after by myself. And so if you fast forward to this day, since I'm the only one in my family who really loved it and actually grew up to do it, you know, the feedback that I get is like, boy, you used to always love that wrestling. I swear, you used to always love that wrestling. I can't believe you grew up to do it, man. You used to always love that wrestling. You used to tear up my house so much, wrestling, jumping off the bunk beds with your brother and all that stuff. You know, so it's like they, you know, my family understands how much I loved it. Because you know what I mean? Because it's crazy. It really is crazy. Because I'm the only one who loved it.
And I bet if your old man was alive right now, he'll have a tear of joy.
Absolutely. Yep.
Speaking of WWE, I heard from somewhere, were you a wallflower? I mean, not a wallflower, rosebud.
Rosebud.
Wow. Wallflower. I never
Sorry
heard it.
about that. Rosebud.
Butcher was a wallflower. Butcher and Roy were wallflowers in high school. If that makes anybody feel better. They're still wallflowers.
Wallflowers, is that the thing that you are when you go to the club and you're afraid to dance with chicks?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Pretty much.
Rosebud.
Yeah, but the clubs that David likes to go to,
You still can't get one there either.
Wow.
Back to Adam Rose.
Oh goodness. Yeah, that is true. I was a rosebud. Yeah, I did the gimmick. I got the call from WWE. Last year? Yeah, last year. It's actually crazy because it happened the same week that Lucha Underground came up.
Wow.
And what's crazy about it was leading up until that point, because
I'm just going to have to touch you because you've had a lot of great success in wrestling.
Jeez, throw some of that this way.
I'm not a Buddhist or anything like that, but I just had to.
I know.
Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm talking.
like that,
Now I'm
though.
talking a little bit of. I feel a little soul now.
Next time, make sure it's above the
soda.
waist. Go ahead.
Dave. Jeez.
Oh goodness.
You know, I'm gonna clear something right now. David has a little mandingo thing going on right now. Okay, just so you know. Right
Can we please go ahead?
Let him answer the
Let him answer the question.
Yes. Go ahead. Back to Adam Rose.
Back to Adam Rose and his Mandingo on that party bus, the Exotic Express,
That's right.
that was flinging around everywhere. I bet. I can only imagine.
He's like, we gotta have famous B. Do me a favor, suck on this.
Wow. Let's hope you're talking about the lollipop.
You know what? Maybe you shouldn't have any more of these. Sure.
I'm totally fine. Trust me. You I don't trust. But come on. Okay, back to wrestling. Back to wrestling.
Yeah, it was actually pretty crazy because when I got the call to do that, to be an extra talent for that gimmick, it was actually 2 years after the first time that I did Extra Talent for WWE and actually had a tryout match with them, which was, as you can guess, in 2012.
That's a good.
Let's just had a great 2012.
I'm gonna just put that on my trunk. 2012.
Was set,
You know what?
was
I should
set the
exactly.
tone. Yeah,
2012.
Vintage B 2012. My new line of tights that we just discovered right here on the podcast.
There you go.
2012, that was my year.
Good old days.
Yeah, that year really just set me off. But yeah, I went to WWE the first time in February 2012 as Extra Talent. That was my first time. And it was one of those things where it's like, okay, you grow up a professional wrestling fan. Obviously, you know, you love WWE, WWF at that time, and that's really all you're used to. And then, of course, you know, you have your other promotions in between. You know, you have your AAAs, you know, you have your this, you have your that. But WWF/E obviously is the cream of the crop to any professional wrestling fan. And when I got that first call in 2012, and it's like, holy shit. That's when like everything is just like, everything stops. You know, it doesn't matter what you did before. It doesn't, you know, it's just like everything stops, and it's like, okay, this is it. I'm finally here. You know, I get an opportunity, you know, to go there, to try out, to wrestle in front of all the agents and this and that. You don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea what to expect, and it's very similar to when I first trained, because I went into that experience not knowing what to expect. So when you go to WWE, it's the same thing. For the first time, you don't know what to expect. All you know is the kid you was.
Right. Yeah.
And all you know is, you know, how much you've dedicated your life from, in my case, obviously, from the kid I was, from that 2 to 3-year-old kid saying Hillbilly Jim for the first time, up until that point where, you know, now I've gotten into the business, I transitioned into the business, I became a professional wrestler since then. Everything in between, you know, you have all those thoughts going into your head, and it's like it all accumulates to this one point of, okay, now I get to go and show myself. And it's like, I'm here. So, you know, I go and I do, you know, and I do my thing, you know, 2012, and I get there, and everything is just, I'm in awe by everything. You know, it's like, I'm backstage. Wow. Oh, this is a set. Wow. Oh, this is so-and-so. Wow. Oh, this is this. Everything's just like, wow. It's like you're in awe for those 2 days of Raw and SmackDown tapings, to the point where it's like you don't really have words for anything, or you don't know how to process it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's business, but at the same time, it's a buildup of 20 years of just being a fan and passionate about this. And now you're there, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that overcomes the fact of, okay, you're here for business, you know, you know what I mean? You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to, you know, and obviously, you know, I'm professional, you know, but I think my biggest flaw by being there the first time was I was just very quiet, because I was just in awe of everything, you know, so.
Well, you're at the other one. When David sees Pat Patterson, he gets all in.
His favorite IC champ of all time. Exactly. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, that was a good one, because he don't even have any words for that. Yeah, he don't even have a quick response, a comeback, or anything
he's
for that. He has nothing for that.
Right now,
he has nothing.
I was into the story.
Just, well, he was doing a
Yeah, but you know, one thing that just like wrestling training, but when I was there the first time, one thing that I did do was soak everything in like a sponge. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I kept everything, like all my feelings and anxiety and excitement. Obviously, I kept it in, because I do understand that when you're in that position, obviously, you have to uphold a certain level of professionalism, in which I did. But that doesn't take away the fact that I was excited as hell to be there for the first time. You know what I mean? So, it was one of those things where, like, where I could have capitalized on that particular time. I didn't, because all the excitement and joy of just being there for the first time was overwhelming for me, and it overtook what I was actually there to do. Even though I did what I was there to do, it was so much more I could have done. But now you fast forward to 2 years later, when I had that opportunity to do it again, and now it was a whole different story.
Yeah.
Because I got that out my system. The nervousness, the excitement, the anxiety, everything that I had the first time was out of my system, and all the thoughts of, okay, well, what could I have done better? How could I have made myself stand out? How could I have made myself more noticeable? All those thoughts were now running through my head. And I knew exactly what that was. So when I went the second time, and obviously now I'm a Rosebud, but before that, I am in the ring and having tryout matches. And that was actually the weekend that William Regal was actually out sick. It was the same weekend. So we did still do tryout matches, and we were evaluated by Mark Carrano. There was a lot of veterans there as well, like Big Show, Mark Henry, Goldust, and a handful of others. So, we're doing these tryout matches and everything like that, and, obviously everything's in my head of, okay, what would you do different? How would you stand out? You just have to, you just have to be, like now it's like, now I'm just more like full of excitement for what I'm there to do versus just being excited about just the fact that I'm there. Now it's like I feel like, okay, well, I'm here for a reason. Like, this is what I do, like now it was my time to show you guys, like, why I would be great to be a talent, to be signed and to be hired. And that was my objective to show at that point in time. And I feel like I did that because my mind was right. My mindset was right. I had that mindset. I knew I was going to go in there and conquer it. I already knew. I understood what I already understood what the business was. I already understood what I was doing. So I went, and everything was good, and coming out as a Rosebud was actually the first time I was actually able to come out and walk through that curtain.
That was about to.
Yes, that was the first time.
So we asked Seville the same thing too, and he gave us his perspectives. I'm just curious what was yours like?
Yeah, no, my perspective, walking out through that curtain for the first time, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But the good thing about it was I already knew in my head what I was there to do. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't let that experience overtake the fact of how I wanted management to perceive me. Because obviously anybody who go there is there for a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was very poised and I was very ready to show my worth that time versus being like, I don't know if I should talk to people. Should I, just being on pins and needles. At that time, I was just me.
Did you, by any chance, when you were in the back locker room, and that's not to make you sound like a mark or anything like that, but when you were in the back locker room, did you talk to any of the guys of the Stars back then, or did they give you any advice?
Not more than a hi, how you doing?
Yeah.
Because those guys are very busy. Obviously, there are you walk past. I'll give you an example real quick. You walk past a Bo Dallas. You walk past him, he's not going to look at you and give you eye contact and be like, hey, how's it going? You walk past him, he's like looking with that little face like, oh, yeah. Like just going over his lines and his character. You know what I mean? Which he should be because he's getting ready for the show.
But if it would have been David's favorite wrestler, Pat Patterson, it would have been different.
Well, he probably wasn't a part of the show at
Right,
this point in
right.
time, so
Because
he
he's always
probably
in the
had
back-
he
he's always
probably
in the
had
back row.
time to make a little eye contact back.
Yeah.
You know, he probably had a little bit of time to do that. So you know, it is what it is.
Earlier this week, Butcher revealed his favorite wrestler, Ahmed Johnson.
Wow.
He liked the Murphs.
Actually, I always show my wife that video. That,
Wow.
you remember Ahmed Johnson? We were talking about that. Anyway, that's
Go
another
ahead.
story.
Yeah, but yeah, those they're very busy. I did get a chance to talk to a couple of them on like just a personal level, where they were in between doing what they have to do for the show, in which Mark Henry was one of them. Big Show was another one of them. Very cool, down to earth individuals. Ran past Miz a couple times.
Right.
He was really cool. But for the most part, they're busy.
Do you watch any of the show now?
I do.
Do you? If there was a wrestler, who would you like to meet?
Meet?
I mean, to wrestle. In other words.
Oh, to wrestle. Oh, okay. Well,
Who would you like? Who can you see yourself competing with?
that have a good mixture? Probably, I would say right now, I'll probably say Seth Rollins. I think me and Seth Rollins would, have a really good match. I think we'd have a lot of good chemistry and just do a lot of cool stuff. Obviously, Daniel Bryan would be another guy who, we would definitely tear it up. We're very similar in style. We're very similar in height, stature, and things like that. So I think guys like that, which is funny because it's like you're true. At the end of the day, independent guys. You know what I mean? Who was gonna go out there and put it all on the line.
Right.
So gentlemen like that.
Let me ask you. I already was going to cover your mouth when he said Daniel Bryan because I already saw you looking at me.
Wow. Does he like the beard, or what? Should I shave, or y'all should have told me before I
focus with our
came.
guest here? Talk about manners. I apologize on behalf of the wrestling desk here.
Suddenly.
I mean, you know what? I'm just gonna have a zip. Please.
Heel or face?
Heel.
Heel.
Sorry. When you said face, I said David Langston in his face.
Oh, wow.
I'll take the face over the back door like Butcher.
Interesting.
Another question before we're going to wrap up a little bit, but PWG. You had a pass with PWG, so they wanted me to ask you about your last PWG run. Will you be going back, or you're done there?
Well, I'll never say never. Obviously PWG is one of the best places to wrestle in Southern California, if not in the world. PWG does great in terms of talent that they book, to the matches that they produce, to their DVDs, their DVD sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody knows the worth and how great Gorilla is. Talking about PWG, it's only right that I give a shout out to Joey Ryan, who brought me in with a group of guys in an initiative to introduce PWG to Southern California talent. I debuted with Ray Rosas, Freddie Bravo, and Chris Cadillac in a 6-man match, in which saw us four as debuts with Peter Avalon and Candice LeRae, which was one of the most emotional matches that I ever had, because that was, I think that was the only time in wrestling where, like, after the match was over, I felt like I literally had to hold back tears. That was the only match. Yeah, that was the only match in my career where I had to hold back tears. It was just my debut PWG match. When you go out and you put on a performance with Pierce, and you have a good match, and you have that energy from the crowd that a Gorilla has, and they're banging on the ring and they're yelling, "Please come back." It was one of those things where I just really, and we went over too. So when the ref raised our hand and they're yelling, "Please come back" and everything like that, it was like I had to just pause from
Wow.
what was going on and just check myself. You know what I mean? Because it was that just emotional and inspiring for me. So yeah, I mean, shout out to Super Dragon as well for believing in us.
What's the energy like over at PWG?
It's off the charts. It's funny because it's one of those things where it really makes you realize as a competitor, as a wrestler, that the energy level is not based on how big the arena is. It's based on the passion of the fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the biggest arena. It's not. I've wrestled at the Hammerstein Ballroom Arena. I've wrestled at the Auditorio in Mexico. And you go to Gorilla, which seats maybe half of what these other venues that I've wrestled at in, and the passion, the amount of passion that each and every fan has there is so overwhelming to the point where it's like one of those things where it's like, wow, like, you know, you really grasp and you really feel it. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's not quantity, it's quality with Gorilla.
Where will we see Famous B 5 years from now?
Oh, Jesus. Hopefully not in a wheelchair. In 5 years from now, goodness gracious. Hopefully, in 5 years from now, as world champ on the 6th season of Lucha Underground.
All right.
Lucha Underground is one of the things right now where I solely believe in. It's a great product. It's very different. It's not enough I can say about the. It's hard to say. It's not. It's you know, I can't say enough about the product and how great it is and how awesome that they treat their talent and how knowledgeable that the writers are and everything like that. I mean, it's an awesome place to work. They treat the guys very well, and you know, obviously they have a great following and great fan reactions to the product. And you know, I'm enjoying the ride, and I just want to see it grow and mature, and just see how far it can go. Because the sky's the limit for Lucha Underground. That's my personal opinion, not just because I'm signed with the show. I'm a fan of the show as well, just like I'm sure all of you are, and everybody out there listening is. It's a fantastic show. It's the alternative for wrestling that we've been dying for since the Monday Night Wars.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We haven't had anything like this since the Monday Night Wars, and I think Lucha Underground is going to be that one alternative to say, hey, it's not just about WWE, but there is an alternative product, and this is it. And it's not nothing that is like put forth to compete specifically with WWE. It's just more or less that Lucha Underground is Lucha Underground. So it, you know what I mean? Like it's not that like for example, WCW. They ran, and obviously, you know, WCW is a great promotion,
right.
But eventually it got to the point where we're competing with WWE. Right. I think Lucha Underground is just Lucha Underground. They're doing their thing. They're a television show that happens to be Lucha Underground. And I think that the fan base is going to get so wide that it's going to, by default, compete with WWE.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm just happy to be one of the originals. I'm happy to be one of the individuals who participated in the first match, and I'm also happy to be one of the individuals, or actually the only individual who won the first match in Lucha Underground history. So take it to the moon, take it to the sky. When you go back to history, you're looking at history right here in the making.
Well,
Nice.
that's very well said. Now, he gave you 5 years But for what I've heard and what you said, what you accomplished within 7 years,
Right.
we're going 8 pretty much now.
Right.
And you've had the belts. You've done everything in California.
Right.
You went to Mexico.
Right. Canada.
Canada. Maybe, hopefully, maybe Japan.
Perhaps.
But
Definitely.
after all said and done, I mean, you even walked down the ramp with WWE.
Yes.
You've done it all.
Yes.
Will you plan? And not to leave out as well, you came from a great school.
Absolutely.
Now, to top of all that, do you see yourself opening your own business in pro wrestling?
Never say never. I think that as long as I have my mentor, Joey Chaos, who obviously opens the door for young and upcoming talents like myself and other guys who, walked that path and came through those doors. I think as long as that's an option, I'm there for the ride in terms of being his right hand man, his partner, and taking what we've already built to the next level. I'm not so much looking in terms of like myself. You know what I mean? It's more or less that I'm so grateful and appreciative of what my school gave to me that I want to continue that legacy and help my school grow and become as big as it can possibly be. And that's my goal. That's my goal. My goal is to really, take my career within myself, because obviously it's up to me how far I go, and take it as far as I can go, put my school on the map, and then come back to my school and give my knowledge to everybody else who comes through those ranks, just like how I did. That's my goal. So, if it's me by myself, then no, I don't have any desire or plans, in the future to do anything like that. But I do have an ambition to keep the dream alive, like we say, within the ranks of Santino Brothers Wrestling. And that's my goal, and that's what will happen, because when you have somebody who's as hard working as a Joey Chaos, who takes, all his passion and determination for the business and puts it into a school like he did, and develops talent and individuals such as myself, such as Ray Rosas, such as Che Cabrera, such as Eli Everfly, such as Rico Dynamite, Tito Escondido. I can go on all day. It's only right that I continue the legacy and not try to rebuild from scratch, so to speak. So I think that's what I'm more focused on in terms of the future. So it depends on the future of Santino Bros,
Right.
But as long as Santino Bros is well and alive, then that's my goal. Just to keep it going.
I know you're going to say something else too, but there's one topic that we did not touch, and you know what? I don't even think we even have to talk about it, because I don't think you have no enemies at all, because you're very likable.
There's no drama.
There's no drama. There's no drama, and you know what? And I think that's why you're very successful and blessed.
True.
We got about 5 minutes.
I'm gonna chime in on that last comment. That's very true. So it's one of those things where it's like you need to stay in your own lane, and you need to focus on yourself and what you're doing. And if you're gonna focus on others, your focus should be on how to maybe help that individual or give insight or wisdom or drop knowledge on that individual, because then you get it back from elders to you. You know what I mean? So, and then another thing that's very important in wrestling that a lot of people don't understand, is very important to keep your personal and your business very separate.
We got a little bit less than 5 minutes. Your favorite AWS moment?
Oh goodness!
Since it's AWS week.
It is AWS week. That is
and
true.
AWS is going to take a little break. So.
Oh, very true. Oh goodness. Okay. Well, Favorite AWS moment. I would say my favorite. Well,
And it's not when Bart's drinking beer.
Let me ask you this: Bart didn't send you a picture of his penis, did he?
whoa!
See what I mean, folks?
Here we go.
Goodness gracious! No.
Did you see what he did to that fan in that video that he posted up recently? I mean, yesterday. I mean, I'll be careful.
Your favorite AWS moment.
I think my favorite AWS moment was the entrance of Joey Chaos before the match that he had at the AWS and Santino Bros joint show, where we all kind of came out and Joey Chaos was in the middle of all his students, and it was like about a good maybe 40 of us, and Joey was right in the middle, and we did this entrance where he walked out and we all circled around the ring, and then that's how he made his entrance into the ring with all his students and disciples right there. It's like that was one of the moments that I will never forget. That was a very cool AWS moment. An AWS match was actually at that same night that I really thought was very solid and very good. Was a match for the submission championship between myself and Eli Everfly that night, which was a really good match at AWS. But it's hard to pinpoint my favorite AWS match because I've had so many good matches at AWS. It's hard to say one, but that one definitely sticks out. Obviously, when I won the AWS Light Heavyweight Championship was another one. When I was a challenger for the AWS Heavyweight Championship against B-Boy at the AWS and Bushido joint show. That was another good moment. But man, AWS has been such a blessing to me. It's been so awesome, so wonderful, and I mean, I know we got 3 more shows for the rest of this year, and you know, it's just one of those things where you just keep the faith that AWS will continue to remain strong and stay alive.
Let everybody know your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, where to find you, where to hit you up.
My official Famous B fan page. Well, first of all, if you Google Famous B, I'll tell you. Let me tell you this: if you just Google Famous B, the magic that happens on that first page is very wide. It's very wide. That's all you got to do, because you're going to see my Twitter on that first page. You're going to see my Facebook fan page. My Facebook's Famous B Brian. My YouTube username is FamousB23, and my Twitter handle is FamousB23 as well. My Instagram is FamousB_23. So, I'm out there. Google is a very powerful search engine.
Yes, it is.
So, go ahead and Google you some Famous B. If you wasn't aware, then now you're aware. And if you didn't know, now you know. That's how we do it. AWS Summer Heat. AWS Summer Heat this Saturday. Oh, man, July 25th. We're getting ready to rock and roll. Famous B versus Sanjay Dutt for the first time ever. I'm looking forward to it. The Light Heavyweight Championship is on the line. And please, 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 please remember, Bart already announced this, that match will open the show. Yes. So Famous B versus Sanjay Dutt, 7 p.m. Saturday, July 25th, sharp. Get to the building early because it's going down.
And the address is 9535 California Avenue, Southgate, California, 90280.
All right, well.
I found Famous B on Match.com.
No. Wait a minute.
You're gonna get everybody hitting.
Hold on. Let me just chime in on this because I'm looking at this as well. That is Famous B profile and match listings. Very different.
We had Roy excited. Roy, calm that down. Put that away. Jeez.
That's what it is. You dig?
Well, I want to thank Famous B for coming on. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
AWS Week continues tomorrow with...
Appreciate it.
B-Boy.
B-Boy. So we're going to find out some stories about him and Lucha Underground too. So Thank you
And
again.
one last quick thing, AWS, we do have some DVDs from 2012, 13, and 14, I believe.
Yes. on
Bart
sale.
left them here at the Wrestling Guy. You can catch them at 6085 State Street, Huntington Park, California, 90255.
Yes, and we also have the AWS shirts, and the DVDs are $9.99 right now. For David, Butcher, Engineer Roy,
Dolly.
McNuggets, what I called her earlier. Now for Dolly,
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
we are
Out.
out of here.